Hello again, boys and girls. So, this week, I want to talk a little bit about what happened to the Vette, why it's gone, and what replaced it. You already seen a little bit. So, as much as I liked the Vette, and as much as I enjoyed driving the Vette, I didn't fit in the Vette. I didn't fit in the Vette crap. And that made me decide I didn't want to keep the Vette. As much as I did enjoy driving it, trying to get a mint. I just finished eating a bunch of Italian food, so my breath smells like tomato sauce. As much as I enjoyed driving it, I wasn't comfortable in it. I could drive it back and forth to work just fine, and a little bit around town, but I tried to take it to cruise night. After about 2 laps of cruise night, I was in pain. Me and the youngest, my little girl, we drove it about an hour away, and while it drove great going there and back, it hurt. It hurt a lot because the seat was too narrow for me to sit in comfortably. Lack of a better way to put it, my fat ass didn't fit in it. It was just, I was sitting on top of the side bolsters, not in between the side bolsters, and it didn't work. So it didn't really matter what I did, I just wasn't comfortable in it. And I looked into seat options, couldn't find any seats that I liked that would fit me and the car. And it just got to a point where it was turning into more of a hassle to try to make me fit the car, or the car fit me, to continue with it. And I was done with it. As much as it hurts to say, because like I said, I really enjoyed driving it while I was comfortable in it. That was a problem. That was a very rare thing. So I posted it for sale on Marketplace. Got a couple hits. Me and a guy off of YouTube were actually talking about making a deal, and then something else happened. The wife convinced me I should message about this on Marketplace, because I had looked at it a few times, talked about how much I really liked it. And I really thought the mods the guy done to it was really freaking cool. So I messaged him, and he was pretty upfront with me. He's like, I'm not a Chevy guy. He was like, but my dad is. Let me talk to him. So he talked to his dad. His dad was interested in the Vette, even though he wasn't. So basically it was going to be, as long as his dad liked the Vette, me and him could trade in, and his dad would just buy the Vette off of him. And obviously, well, you see how that went. The Vette's no longer here, and this is. And I gotta say, this is probably by far the coolest car I will ever own. Because it's just sweet. With it being an old Cadillac, it rides good. Even the air ride does ride stiffer on this than the old Coupe de Ville over there. So, but to fill you in, this is Black Pearl. Black Pearl is a 61 Cadillac Fleetwood. That's why she's the 4-door flavor. So she's crew cab. And obviously she's on air ride. She's got a few other things done to her. We'll start with some of the interior stuff first, and then work our way to the surprise inside the box up front. That's going to throw a lot of people for a loop. It is most definitely the most interesting part of the car. Alright, in order of being completely honest with you guys, I've had this thing for about 3 weeks now. And I've done a little bit of work myself to it, and I've done a lot of driving. So this isn't a day one review of this thing. This is more like a 3-week review of it. And I like it. I like it a lot. So let's flip this camera around. I'll show you around the inside. So as you can see here, the seats have been recovered a little bit. Not exactly the best looking seats in the world. They are a little on the softer side. They could use a new blanket recovering them. We got blankets. We'll probably end up doing that at some point. It has none of the stock gauges in it anymore. SCT tuner up here in the corner. Some of you, that might give you a clue of what's under the hood already, but you'll still probably be wrong. Let's see here, but it's got fuel, volts, we're just not going to say what that middle gauge is. You guys can figure that one out. Then temp and oil pressure. And up here in the old SCT tuner, it's RPM, coolant, intake temp, and battery voltage. As well as that right there is the speedo. When I picked it up, that iPhone over there in the dash was actually a speedo. I decided I didn't like it. Then the switches we got here, this is a on-off switch for the fan, which is also controlled by the computer. Then this one right here is a 3-way switch for the fuel pump. Oop, dropped you guys down a little low, sorry. All the way down, lets the computer control it. Center turns it off all the time. And if I bump it all the way up, that's so you can check the fuel pressure regulator under the hood. This one I normally leave up because the fan, as long as the key's not on, the fan won't be on. Then down here is the air ride controls. Not the best controls in the world, but they do the job. And it's a 5-speed shifter with a snazzy naked flying lady for the shift handle. It's not bad. It's not great inside. I will say I'm surprised the amount of things that still work that are original to the Caddy. The heater control fan was working up till the other day. I don't know what happened to it. It stopped working. But all the lights work. All the windows work. Yes, they're powered. All 8 of them work. But all these ones need help. You gotta like start them to get them open, and then they'll finish opening on their own, and they'll shut on their own. You can see back there's got JVC speakers in the back. Also has them over there behind the Fleetwood emblem. But if you notice, you don't see a radio anywhere, and that's because up there in that corner you'll see that little box. It's actually a Bluetooth receiver that feeds into an amp in the trunk. Feeds into that amp that I got to finish cleaning the wiring up for, because the amp he had in it had some not great connections in it. Not within the wiring that he did, but within the plugs for it in itself that were just kind of janky and junk. So I ditched that thing altogether, threw an old 750 watt Kenwood that I had laying around, and a couple subwoofers. As you can see, she no longer has a stock gas tank either. She has a fuel cell, which while I'm in here, how much fuel do I have exactly? Come on. Come out. Oh, I'm still good. Got plenty. Air ride tank, the air ride pump, batteries all back here. All the lights work on the outside too, which kind of surprised me. Like, I say all the lights work, I mean all of them work. Like even the reverse lights still work. Guy definitely took his time. Well, I lie. Not all the lights work. The old high beams don't light up anymore. He has everything wired to where the old low beams are the lows and the highs. They do both jobs, not just the one, which isn't bad. I would like to put it back to where they all light up again. The biggest con about everything that works and doesn't work on the car is, while the windshield wipers do work, as you can see, the arms and stuff don't exactly match on them. And they take some effort to use because the motor likes to stick. So basically you got to pop the hood, move a lever, and then they actually start to work. Other than that, it's not bad. So we got one of the elephants in the room. As you guys heard me say, it's manual. It's a 5-speed, which obviously these never came manual factory. Cadillacs were a luxury car. You know, luxury, you had an automatic because automatic was smooth and automatic was simple and you just dropped it and drive and go because, well, you know, you didn't want to have to deal with the hassle of shifting. So lighting is not my favorite today. This one, very clearly, isn't about luxury anymore. So, see here, we'll just start on the outside. Obviously, so she's got an SCT tuner, so it's tunable on the fly, kinda-ish, I guess. Not really. But that gives you the idea that she's not carbureted anymore. She's 5-speed. The 5-speed is a T45 out of a 99 Mustang Cobra. So I guess that kind of starts to give you an idea of what's under the hood, because she ain't no Cadillac engine under there anymore. Well, everyone thinks this is the exhaust when they see it, and that's not old Black Pearl's exhaust. Her exhaust, well, she's down here in the fender on both sides. That's because, well, there's these big old spoolie boys down here. I got the Wu-Tang war whistles down in the corners, which are getting exhaust fed to them from a Ford Triton V10. So basically the biggest of the mod motors that Ford made or makes. So it is, I can't remember the liter size, but it's a Triton V10 out of an 03 F250. Yes, I am aware it is an odd swap. Yes, I am aware that it is not a great motor. I've been told this several times by several people. All I can say, it runs and drives damn good. So whoever did the tuning to get it to where it's at did a really good job. It's probably got too tall gear, because you can't do 35 in town in anything other than third or fourth gear without it screaming. And if you try doing it fifth, you're actually lugging it lower than idle. So she is geared. You can damn near do highway speed in second gear. I'll put it that way. She's quick for an old boat. But Triton V10, dual 75 millimeter turbos. There is no, and I know some people are going to say this is insane, there is no intercooler on this setup. They're water cooled turbos. So instead of it having the heater core hooked up, the old heater core lines and everything are actually run to the turbos and run coolant through them with the engine. So thus far, the highest intake temp I have seen, even driving around town in stop and go traffic, has only been about 145, which isn't really that bad, especially being in town, because a heat soaked intercooler setup's going to get just as hot. And driving around outside of town, the moment you get out and you get some airflow through the radiator, the engine temp comes down from about 202 back down to about 198, and the intake temps drop from about like that 140 something they were at the one day down to 108, and it was still dropping. I had got to my destination and I shut the car off. That was where it was. It was 108, and I believe it was starting to show blips of 106. So they were coming down even farther yet. I drove it an hour home from where I bought it, or where I traded the vet for it, and it gave me no issues the whole drive home. And I'll admit, I didn't test drive it before I did this. I just knew I wanted it, and I was going to take the risks as they came with it being the way it was. So I guess now we'll talk about the other important, or wanted to know fact about this. Let's talk about what she's building power wise, because it's not going to sound that impressive. It's on 10 pounds of boost, and it's 350 horse and 500 foot-pound of torque, from what I was told. That's what it did on the dyno. And I have since discovered, I am willing to bet the clutch was slipping on the dyno, because the moment you get in power and you get past about 5-6 psi, it starts to slip in third gear, in fourth gear, and in fifth gear. So Well, I'm assuming in 5th gear. I have not tried doing it in 5th gear. I don't really want to. At least not yet. So I have a feeling when they were doing the dyno pulls, I think the clutch was starting to slip then. And because he told me at 5 PSI, the car made, I'm sorry, I keep moving. I'm trying to use a selfie stick, oddly enough, and I'm just not used to it. I keep kind of turning my hand one way or the other, and I'm losing focus of myself in the car. But yeah. Told me on 5 PSI it made 400 horse and 450 foot-pound of torque, but on 10 PSI made 350 horse and 500 foot-pound torque. That math don't quite math. And they said it wasn't running out of fuel or anything like that, and I believe it because it runs off idle, at idle, wide open throttle, everywhere in between. It runs really well. It is loud, but it runs really well. So I have no reason to believe the tune's not good. And like I said, intake temps are good. The boost gauge tells me that I'm not making more than that 10 PSI. Everything tells me that everything's okay. So I have no reason not to believe that it's not okay. But anyway, yeah, the clutch slips. I have a really good feeling that while the numbers don't sound impressive, I think the numbers are higher. I think realistically it's more 450 horse and probably 600 foot-pound of torque, not 350 and 500. Even that being said, while those numbers don't sound impressive, gotta switch arms. Well, the 350 and 500 don't sound impressive because if you look up an 03 F250 with a V10 in it, stock numbers were 325 and like 425 or 450. So it makes 10 PSI and only an extra 25 horse and an extra 50 to 75 foot-pound of torque. Doesn't sound that impressive. But those are crank numbers for the Ford dyno numbers. These are wheel numbers. So realistically, at the crank, it's probably making over 400 horse and well over 500 foot-pound of torque. At least that's going to be my assumption. I could be wrong. We could throw a new clutch in it and find out real quick that nope, those dyno numbers are exactly what they were and it lost horsepower making 10 PSI. Which I would find very weird at this point. One of my buddies went for a ride in with me the other day and he definitely agreed that it doesn't exactly feel like 350 horse. It feels like more until the clutch slips. Once the clutch lets go, it definitely does not feel like it's making that much more power. But you can feel the clutch slip. So okay, I'm rambling. Let me stop for a second. All right, we are going to get back on track a little bit better because if not, I'm going to continue to ramble because I'm a dumbass. So I love the way he did the swap. I'm not crazy about the placement of the turbos. I would like to move the turbos more up here, or I guess more like right here and like up in front of the master cylinder if possible, something along those lines, instead of where they are, just because I feel with them being there, it gets them out of the way of the tire so I can actually drive with the car a little bit lower. And it'll give more room for piping and exhaust and all that. Excuse me, guys. But the things I do like is he made the swap itself very simple. It's a Ford wiring harness pretty much at this point. The car is tied into that fuse box. So all the fuses for the car are in that box. They aren't some here, some glass fuses, some this, some that. They're all right there. I love that because it makes trying to do anything fuse-wise really easy. And yes, the V10 is an oddball swap that not a lot of people are going to agree with being cool. I like it because it's different. On the other end of it, it's a Ford mod motor. Me and one of the other guys I work with were talking about, because he's a big Ford guy, he's like, He's like, he did a cheap swap that he can make some power with and be a little different. He's like, but realistically, he's like, if you wanted to go a little bit more mainstream, he's like, I could rip this V10 out and I could drop in a 4.8, a 5.4, or even a Coyote will just pop right in place of that with minimal extra effort to make it fit, since this V10 already fits, because the mod motors are all done up the same. So in that instance, what he did was really cool. He built something that was really different, and he made it to where at the end of the day, if something goes wrong or you want to just make the car a little simpler, he made it very easy to do. Because if I really wanted to, I could pull the turbo setup off of it, go into that SCT tuner, swap it back to a stock tune, and be done. Well, I'd have to change out like fuel injectors and stuff too. But I could very simply just make this a stock V10 car and probably be fairly happy with it still. Or I could pull this out, drop in a Coyote motor with the spoolie boys still in the corner, have it tuned a little bit through that SCT tuner, and be making good power that way too, and sound really cool and really piss off all the Cadillac guys, even more than what the V10 does. Maybe my favorite feature of the car, just the amount of people that see it and get mad. I posted that little clip of it on I think it was on YouTube Shorts, and a guy got mad over the hood. I was like, boy, if you knew what was under the hood, you'd be pissed. But yeah, it's a very interesting swap. Oh, and for some of you more safety conscious people that know a little bit about these Cadillacs, to know the fact that they came with all drum brakes all the way around. The front has been swapped to disc. I believe it actually has the same disc brake setup as my 73 Caddy. So it stops really well. I don't know exactly what the front brake kit is that he used. He didn't tell me, and I didn't think to ask. I just know looking at it from the backside, it looks very similar to the Cadillac. And it's got a Corvette dual pot master cylinder and a brake booster and stuff in it. So it all works really well. Then, like, in terms of that's about the beginning and the end of any safety upgrades done to it. I did put a seatbelt in it for the youngest, so don't worry about that. She's safe when she's in it, and she loves being in it. And we keep it out of boost when she's in the car, 90% of the time. Where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going. Oh, and then like things like I mentioned the clutch being an issue. There's not going to be any craziness with the parts. It's a stock 99 to 04 Mustang Cobra flywheel transmission clutch setup. So I just got to call somewhere and go, hey, I need an oddly high torque handling clutch for a 99 Mustang Cobra. And they're going to go, all right, here you go. It'll be all off the shelf parts. So that in itself is also really good. Okay. I need to stop rambling, and we need to go find a minute to go drive this thing. Show you what she's all about. So yeah, I've probably rambled for the last 15 minutes now, if not longer. I'm sorry. Let's go drive it. So as you guys can see there, this is not a bad car. This Cadillac will get down a little bit. I will say it does need a new clutch. There's a few other little bugs and kinks I want to work out of it, but unlike the Corvette, I feel like this car is going to stay around for a while. So I've got time. Some stuff will definitely be happening to it over the winter that you guys will get to see, as long as I can get it in the garage between some other projects, because you guys know how the old MG in there is coming. I am currently dirty from working on that as well right now, so you guys will get to see some of that here soon. But I think that's going to be it for this one. Let me know what else you guys want to see about on old Black Pearl here. She's definitely, like I said, she's definitely going to be around for a while. I thought the Vet was too, but like I said, there was reasons behind that. So, but I mean, in my defense on wanting to keep this thing and for trading the Vet, just look at it. She looks so good. So good. But, like I said, I think that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the introduction to old Black Pearl here. And I will see you on the next one, which will definitely be that. Because I am currently working on filming on that too. Trying really hard to get back to that one video a week that I was doing before. And a big part of that is now I need to start kind of trying to work on multiple ones at a time when I have time. So one's probably going to be something simple, while the other one's something more complicated. And I'm even trying to keep those videos simple too, but we'll go into that in that video. So yeah, until then, see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.